Okay, non-writing tips to overcome writer's block, right? So of course, in my last video or whenever I uploaded it, you see my top 5 strategies to overcome writer's block, or writing strategies, of course. Now here are some like non-writing tips, things that you could do in terms of like lifestyle to overcome writer's block. Because sometimes it's a lifestyle issue that's causing us to have writer's block, or I should say a thinking block, and we can't really figure out what to write for our story. So yeah, let's get into it. So I always have to make this clear. This is for those whose objective is to complete their story outline or first draft or anything like that. So yeah, if you're trying to do that, like finish up a book, like a movie script or anything story related, if you're a fiction writer or anything like that, this is for you. Now, first things first, this is probably like the most important thing is routine. Routine is very important. A lot of people underestimate this, or actually maybe not. I don't know. One thing I know what people underestimate is momentum and the power of momentum. And routine leads to momentum. So let me explain, right? So routine, you probably heard of like having make sure you have a proper desk or a proper like creative setup that'll put you in a creative mood. But do you understand why this is important? Is because is you end up able to create a routine, like some sort of consistency with it. Like the less distractions you have around you, the better you are at like developing your habits and things like that. All these productivity stuff that you be hearing online. But why this helps with writer's block is because, like I was saying earlier, routine leads to momentum. So it kind of leads to like a snowball effect. Like when you have a routine, you're able to show up more consistently throughout the week, and more consistently you stare at the screen, the better chance that you're gonna overcome the writer's block, or the better chance you're gonna eventually come up with more ideas or better ideas. Because with the routine, you basically setting up a time for active thinking. And in my last video, or one of my videos, I talked about active versus passive thinking. And with routine is it's basically to set it up so you have more time for active thinking, where you just solely focus your brain on the story for that period of time, instead of like passively thinking about your story while you're doing other stuff, like running errands, doing your job or anything like that. It's also depending more on that, you're able to have dedicated time for active thinking. And yeah, like I'm saying in the notes here, is like it's for a consistent writing schedule. It helps with that as well. And it could just be, sometimes what happens is, right, we tend to think that, okay, if I don't put like, if I'm not able to put in like 30 minutes or an hour or so, then it's not worth it. But no, like that's where you get wrong. This is why we get stuck at writer's block for so long. It's because we underestimate the amount of time we need in a writing session. Even if it's just 5 minutes of you staring at the screen, I should say, of you just thinking about, like solely thinking about your story, it's worth it. It is worth it in the day. You're one step closer to conquering writer's block than you realize, if you just focus on showing up consistently, where you have, even if it's a small amount of time, just block off time to just focus on your story. So this is where routine comes into play, and this is where you build up momentum over time. Because then when it comes with momentum now, is showing up to your writing sessions, it'll come close to as if you're brushing your teeth, no matter how you feel, or taking a shower, no matter how you feel, right? And one last thing is, of course, is sleep. I just wanted to put sleep there just to showcase the importance of self care and sleep. Like the more sleep I get, or the more better I optimize my sleeping schedule, of course, the more creative my brain is, because of course my brain is more optimized when you have more sleep, obviously. So I just put that there just for that, for me to keep that in mind. Now, here's something that is very important that a lot of like entrepreneurs do and know about, but this could also be really helpful if you're a writer and you're in the creative field or anything like that, right? Is avoid carbs before a writing session. This might be depending on you as a person. So I might just be talking about more about something that helped me personally and less about what I've seen help others is, but knowing that this helped me, I just know that this might potentially help you as well. So one thing I want to discuss about is avoiding carbs. The reason why I say avoid carbs before a writing session, because carbs tend to bring like brain fog. Depending if you like eat a lot of carbs or not, it might bring a lot of brain fog. And so that's why I recommend eating a lot of like fats and proteins in the morning. um what I tend to do is for myself is I like to write first thing in the morning before anything else, you know, before I really eat. So I just be working fasted in the morning. And you know how they be saying like eat the frog in the morning? I just like, okay, let me just get the writing session out the way in the morning, so that I don't have to be worrying about finding time during the day to do it, because like I already done it first thing in the morning, right? So this leads to my next point, and I just wrote it down here in the same area. But match your writing schedule with when you're most creative in a day. So it's kind of common sense, I guess, but the hard part is most of us probably don't really know what our most creative time, or what's the best time for us to really schedule our sessions. And really all you have to do is just test and learn for the most part, really. Like, you know, one day you try the morning, or you know what, maybe not one day but a couple of days, maybe you try a week for some of these stuff. So like maybe for a week you do the morning, right? Like first thing or any time in the morning. And then another time you try the afternoon, like maybe for a week straight you try the afternoon, maybe a week straight you try the evening, maybe a week straight you try the nighttime, you know. And then, you know, you test and learn, you test and see which time you feel is optimal for you for your writing session. And with that, once you find that creative time where you know that this is like your best chance of entering the creative zone, you have a higher chance, of course, to overcome writer's block if you're writing at the optimal time for yourself, you know, to write your story. So yeah, next one. Taking a walk outside. Really, all I'm saying is like doing some light exercise, basic stuff. You don't have to be hitting hardcore in the gym or anything like that. Just some basic. It could just be walking outside or anything like that, especially around nature and things like that. Uh, I like to say this is like a form of meditation. And if you ever know about meditation, meditation helps with focus, which of course, you know, focus is key to overcoming writer's block and is key to developing ideas for your story or anything like that. So that's why I wrote down taking a walk, just to give a quick example. But it could be any type of light exercise, or it could be any form of meditation you like to do, that could really help with you with this type of uh, with writer's block, of course. Now, oh, also another thing is it helps if you have too much things going on in your mind. Sometimes what happens is the reason why we're struggling to come up with new ideas and why we're stuck is because we're thinking about a lot of stuff outside of your story. So sometimes a lot of like real life stuff is happening to us, right? Or around us or anything like that. Like, you know, we're thinking about maybe our children, or you know, something happened at work or anything, or something happened in school, you know. And sometimes we get distracted in our mind because of things that are happening in our life. So we can't really focus into the story when there's other stuff that is plaguing our minds. And walking or any other form of meditation or light exercise helps us, you know, clear our minds a bit more, and, you know, and then regain our focus on whatever we want to focus on. Of course, lastly, increases blood flow, which of course helps the brain. You know, I'm saying this jokingly, but you probably do sit around all day, because I do. I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting, but I wrote this for myself, but anyone who could relate. Sometimes there'd be days where you're sitting around a lot, or basically sitting around too much, and you know that's limiting your blood flow for the brain. So sometimes you just need to get up, get some fresh air, and that's what help you, you know, refresh your brain, and then, you know, help you generate more ideas later on. Now, next, Next. What am I saying? Research topics involved in your story. Now, this right here is very underrated. I don't know why I'm saying that. It's underrated, but it's also overrated at times. Some of us could be doing too much research. I noticed that with my clients. Sometimes they think that they need every piece of information in the world, especially if they're trying to uh, research culture that they're trying to put in a story, or any type of environment that is, of course, based on real life into the story. You feel like you need to know every single thing in order to write out certain scenes and scenarios or plot lines in the story. But yeah, if sometimes the reason why you can't come up with new ideas is because you just don't know enough about a topic that you're trying to implement into the story. Like if it's something that is you're trying to implement that is part of reality, of course. Like I said, for example, like culture, environments, any type of themes or anything like that. Uh, so anytime you're using like a piece of reality in your story. So yeah, what I like to say is this brings clarity, accuracy, of course. Just try to give yourself like maybe like a deadline or a time frame of how much research you want to do. You don't want to end up doing too much research. So, just get the big chunk, like do maybe implement the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of the information you probably need for in order to write out certain parts of your story is probably like you only probably need like 20% of the information. So yeah, probably implement like the 80-20 rule and sort of thing if you know about that. So next thing is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Wait, you might have your own twist. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I was wondering why I wrote that there, but yeah, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So you don't have to write every. That's basically what I was saying earlier. You don't have to have every single piece of detail about the culture or anything like that in the story to write about the culture. You could add your own little twists to it. Some things could be a little bit fictional. You don't have to have everything in that. With accuracy, I should say. And an example I want to say is my story. One of my stories, I should say, Magic Force, and one of the themes is discrimination. And of course, with that big theme in this story, I have to do some research about discrimination and things like that, and people being discriminated throughout history. And the reason why I'm doing research about it is so that I could accurately depict that into my story, so that people understand where I'm going with the story, and if they understand that the not really understand, but more like see that this is the theme that I'm going for, because I'm showcasing discrimination accurately based on how it goes throughout history. So that's like one thing I'm trying to hit on and doing research on, just to but I'm also not trying to be too accurate or things like that. I'm trying to put my own spin into things as well, of course. But yeah, just to have like a clear understanding of what the theme I'm going for is discrimination, of course, in my story. So yeah, that's one way of, or is it like a quick example. I'm probably gonna make my own video, like a personalized video about researching topics for your story as like its own personal video, and I probably would show examples of my story and what I did to come up with or look for information for like things like discrimination or things like that, in order to help better improve my story and the themes I'm going for and things like that. So yeah, next. Now you've probably seen this in one of my videos as well. Consume within your genre. The most passive way to conquer writer's block. Passive in terms of, well, I'll say this is probably the most fun. Yeah, this is probably the most fun as well in terms of non-writing tips, right? This is probably like the most fun, where you're just consuming whatever you like, because most times what you're writing is similar to the genres you like to watch and consume or read and things like that. So like I explained in my other video, that it's not about plagiarizing and just taking the whole idea that you see from the other story that you're reading and watching. It's about finding inspiration, right? So using what you consume to seek possibilities to write whatever scene you're trying to write or whatever plot line you're trying to write. So it's like making your own spin to it. Like one thing I mentioned right in previous videos, sometimes what I do is I take pieces like from different shows, right? So I was like, okay, I like this little piece right here that they put into this show, and I like this piece right here that they put in this other show. And I sometimes what I do is I combine the two ideas from these two different shows, and I put them together, and it's like, let's see if it meshes well or not. And one thing is, you probably don't have to think too hard in creating your own version of the idea that you see from the show. Usually what it tends to be is, unless you really literally wrote your characters the exact same as the show or the book you're reading, then the scene or the idea that you like is probably going to automatically be different because you have different characters, different environment, things like that. So it's probably going to naturally be different anyways when you're writing it out for your story. But let me tell you my example that I did for my story, for one of my stories. So you know the concept of good king, good prince, bad king, and where like the prince has to like save the kingdom, things like that, and he has to go through a hero's journey. And what tends to happen is probably like the prince has to leave home, leave the kingdom, and then return like a man to save the kingdom, things like that, from their father or anything. But what I did was I kind of flipped it. Like I was like, you know what if I did the opposite, right? So I just flipped it, where instead it's bad prince, good king. Prince is entitled, obnoxious, he feels like he's special, that he deserves everything in the world. And the king is honorable, for the people. Everyone respects him. You know, they wish the best for him, and it's kind of like the golden age of the kingdom. And I do have the prince leave this kingdom, but this is for a totally different reason. It's because like the councilman in my story could kind of project and see the potential downfall of this kingdom if the prince becomes king in the future, based on how he's acting from a young age. And if it continues like this throughout time in the story, then the council kind of decided and noticed that if this behavior continues to happen, then the future of the kingdom might be in jeopardy. So this what leads to the prince kind of being kicked out or forced out of the kingdom. And this is like the prince is still the main character. Let me just state that first. But it's about the journey of this prince, and see if he could prove or make himself worthy to be king, to be eligible to return back to the kingdom, of course, and lessons he go through along the way, along the journey, and meeting new characters and things like that. So I just took the original concept of good prince, bad king, and just flipped it, and just, see what would be like if it was the complete opposite, and what type of conflict will come out of that, right? So I hope you understand what I mean when I state these things. So yeah, that's mainly it, right? One thing I like to know is, what do I miss? Like, what tips do you have, like non-writing tips that helps you conquer writer's block in a sense? What other tips did I left out? Like, let me know in the comment section down below what helped you, how it helped and things like that. Maybe I'll probably, if I like it, I'll probably like try it out and then probably make a video about it and then mention you in the video, because of course I'm going to give credit. But yeah, so like, let me know in the comment section down below. And yeah, one last thing, if you feel like if you're trouble is not like really with information, but implementation in terms of accountability or things like that, or you just would like to have like a brainstorming partner to help complete your first draft or outline, coming up with ideas and things like that, then you could book a free consultation call with me with the link down below, to see if we'd be able to work together and things like that. And we sort out a plan of how we could complete this draft or complete this outline to your likings and things like that. So yeah, hope this helps. I appreciate you for watching the video. I'm gonna leave 2 videos up in the screen, I believe. One of them is gonna be explaining probably why you experienced writer's block in the first place, and of course I think I also have different solutions too as well in that video, and as well as another video showcasing my top 5 strategies to overcome writer's block. This time is gonna be like written strategies, so yeah, hopefully those 2 videos help as well. And yeah, see you next time.